Chantell, thanks for joining us today, and maybe start by telling everyone who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Chantell Comberger, and I'm the Vice President of Business Development for Retail for Computer Products Corporation, or CPC for short.
And so before CPC, you had a relationship with IGEL as a customer, and maybe just explain that a little bit if you would.
For 18 years, I was with a global Fortune 500 retailer, and over 13 years ago, we deployed IGELs in our retail stores. Over that time frame, managed over 20,000 IGELs in 5,000 stores globally, and managing those devices, we were able to do it with less than one person.
So one of the big challenges, obviously, with retail is you need to deploy technology all the way out to them, but you got no one in the retail end who probably has much technological experience.
That's correct.
How did you end up with that solution?
Well, it was a journey. We learned lessons along the way. We initially deployed Windows, and over 2 or 3 years, we watched our costs rise. We watched, the increase in support calls, all of that, and we said, well, let's try Linux. We did the same thing there, and we said, we got to go back to the drawing board. So around 2006, we said, what's our biggest pain point? And our biggest pain point was really that endpoint. And so there were a lot of thought processes that went into that endpoint, and one of them was the associate, the end user, and being able to give them a consistent experience, and being able to give them something that's easy to use, because it's a high turnover environment. Your retail environment's high turnover, and plus you take those associates and you move them to the other stores, and just having that consistent experience was really important to us, on top of course, security and reducing costs.
I think you mentioned you had some pretty significant savings over what the alternatives were to roll them out.
When you think about a full OS, be it Windows or Linux, either one, it's a significant amount of cost to try to secure those. Think about it. You've got your antivirus, which is a license. You've got your software distribution, which is a license. And truly, both of those, the antivirus and the software distribution, most of the times, rather than not, they just don't work. You're paying that license fee, and they really just don't work. And then you have, a bunch of additional license fees on top of that, remote control software, imaging. So all those fees really start adding up. Then to manage that device, right? So you've got your configuration costs. Somebody has to touch those, and then your support and escalation, and just overall administrators and managing those devices. And so that was a significant amount of cost when you actually put pen to paper. And we said, well, we've got to reduce that. These things that we're paying, a lot of licenses for are really not helping us in the end. And then, of course, security is still on our back, because you've got to keep your licenses, your antivirus, all of those solutions up to date, including patching. And especially in my environment, a retail environment with variable bandwidths, that was really difficult to do, to continue that patching. Security, we constantly had a risk mitigation effort with them, and we just couldn't do it anymore. There had to be something better out there. And so when we looked at IGEL technology, it being a secure operating system, purpose-built to deliver constant, secure, reliable access to our enterprise applications, the fact that it was zero-touch deployment, and the easy management solution, being able to distribute patches, which are not all that significant, and only just a few times a year. And it was consistent and consistently successful. So, we said we've got to go for it, right? That's the right decision for us in our environment.
That was quite a few years ago. So that was way before what we all know as UD Pocket now. Today,
Yes.
it's an even better environment.
It really is. We had to leverage our existing investment on our systems, and so it was great that we were able to install the IGEL software. But then, in other circumstances, we were able to leverage the IGEL hardware, and so we did that. And then, we have kiosks, and they don't want a full, monitor, mouse, keyboard, and it takes up too much real estate. So leveraging laptops and the IGEL software worked. And then, they wanted something fancy like a Mac, and being able to use the UD Pocket to boot IGEL off the Mac, they get that look while we get the ease and the security of the IGEL OS.
So now you're consulting and
Yes.
talking to a lot of clients like the one that you used to work for. And where do you see IGEL fits competitively in the market against some big players in the industry?
Well, they offer a lot in terms of being so flexible. One of the things, as I just mentioned, having that ability to run that software, IGEL software, on any platform, and being able to manage it with the same tools and the same way was really key. So, that's a huge leverage in this market. And just the fact that it's a read-only software, they've been doing it for so long. They're the experts in it, and it's just been so incredibly successful.
And it obviously, I would guess that with the ease of use and the consistent experience, the story that you told of we've got thousands of people out there and one tech support person is a pretty positive offer to take to your clients now, not on the consulting side.
I love sharing my story. That's the reason why, I went into consulting, is because, I've had a journey, and I want to share my experience. I want to help folks be able to minimize the struggles that I came into, and hopefully help them implement technology to reduce their costs and help them in their enterprise.
I understand there were some pretty significant cost savings for you, but in that experience, both operating costs and hardware costs. Is that right?
Yes, there really was. From a hardware perspective, we saved on average $1.2 million, and then when you add up all the operational costs, being able to outsource, reduce our head count, reduce our support costs, configuration, installation costs, we save over $1 million of operational costs.
Your clients today are looking for security. They're looking for cheap, and they're looking for a good user and consistent user experience. What you found in your previous life was that IGEL can deliver that.
In the retail environment, where you have usually a high turnover, you want that consistent experience. You want an ease to manage that device because, again, you're in a distributed environment. So therefore, you don't have a technical person in that location. So you need to be able to easily manage that device. And then, of course, security. Again, distributed environment, you don't have a whole lot of controls, especially on the floor, so you want a real secure environment. Matter of fact, you want to limit your exposure. So by having IGEL technology, we were able to move our intellectual property and data centrally. And then, of course, cost, right? You could really reduce your costs. Zero deployment, you don't have to have really somebody to touch it. Your associates in the store can easily, power it on and boot it up, and away they go. So, really increase productivity along with it all.
So you're out there recommending IGEL to your clients a lot. If I was a prospective or a new client to you, why would you tell me that I should look at IGEL as a solution?
IGEL is cost effective, it's easy to use, and it's secure.
So we got a whole bunch of young people coming into the workforce. They're all used to they live on their phones. They're all used to an application environment. They're coming into big organizations who frankly have big, clunky, ugly, slow, hard to use, hard to understand, non-graphical applications.
Absolutely.
IGEL right in the middle of that.
Right. So yeah, so the new generation workforce that's graduating college and going into organizations, what have they normally worked on? Their phone, their tablets, and those are purpose built to access applications. So now when they enter the workforce, how are you going to keep these new generation, right? How are you going to keep competitive and keep key talent, because they feel more efficient and more productive on devices that they've been using. So, giving them a full OS almost feels like you're giving them a legacy solution, and you're really not being competitive and giving them a solution that really they're used to working with.
Chantell, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks for having me.